Should we get him on both sides?
Yeah. Scary.
So now they're all, he's saying, how's your son? Because we had a youth council meeting. I gotta start the day they came back. So I was on edge waiting for them to arrive safely. You know, I need
We're ready.
go ahead and get started. Welcome to our council meeting this fine afternoon, 5:15 p.m. on Tuesday, September 3rd, 2024. We're here in the Lindon City Council chambers here with our council, and I'd like to welcome you here. I'm Mayor Carolyn Lundberg. We also have this broadcast on YouTube, so welcome to those who may be watching now or in the future as well. So we always begin first with our sessions here, an invocation, which will be given by me today. And then our Pledge of Allegiance, I would like to ask one of our Councilmember Hoyt is going to lead the pledge. Our gracious Heavenly Father, we're very grateful to all be here seated today. We're grateful for the rain that we have received in moderation this time to keep up with what we can handle, but also add to what is so needed. We're very grateful to have this fine city to live in, this beautiful place where many people have come before us and sacrificed so much of their time and their service and their vision that we can enjoy. And we're grateful for our fine police and fire and emergency response and our staff and all that do the day in and day out work behind the scenes that we do not always see or aware of. We're very grateful to have this opportunity to conduct the business of our community on behalf of our citizens as their fiduciary servants, and we ask that we will have thy blessing upon us as we make these sometimes small as well as large decisions, and that we can do so with our continued goodwill and respectful manner with those that come to attend from our public and listen to them as well. We are so grateful for this great nation, for the opportunity to stand here free and prosperous and healthy. We ask you to bless those leaders of our nation too at these tumultuous times. And we say these things in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen. Will the audience please rise? Please repeat the Pledge of Allegiance with me.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, thank you so much, Jake. We will now do our roll call, and I'll start here on my left.
Steve Stewart, present.
Lincoln Jacobs, present.
Jake Hoyt, present.
Carolyn Lundberg, present.
Van Broderick, present.
Cole Hooley, present.
All right, thank you so much. Presentations and announcements. I think we don't have any this evening. If there's any additional announcements from council members, we'll have our council report shortly. We now have on item number 3 on the agenda is always our public comment section. This is where members of the public could approach the council and introduce themselves and give a brief synopsis of a concern or anything that they would like us to hear at this time. And if you could be so good as to, yes, but for the record, if you could please state your names again, that would be appreciated.
Christensen and my wife Sandra is with me. We reside at 363 West Lakeview Road. And last time we were here, we spoke a little bit about the situation on Main Street. And I'd be very happy to report that they have done some improvements down there, and they've put some more gravel down there, and unless that is dealt with, that'll end up in my ditch. But they've started some improvements there. But a lot more gravel is ready to go down the ditch, it would look like to me. We had Mitchell's excavation at my expense go in through the west side and discover that the irrigation pipe that we're speaking of is completely blocked in some manner on the west side of State Street. And further investigation on our part would discover contractors operating trenching in that area. And we received good information this morning from your Public Service Department and from Adam regarding these things. And I think that my wife got a good commitment from Adam to move this forward in an appropriate way. So I think probably all in all, a positive report. We've done something good here, but we still have a blocked irrigation pipe that we don't know why. It's causing some issues near the tunnel. And that would be, I think, more of the city's concern than my water, but I think we both have something at stake here that needs to be dealt with, and I need some help. So we're here to ask for some help. And I
All
think
right.
that they've offered, so.
That's wonderful to hear that we have our Public Works Director here. I don't know if he has anything to add at this point, or it sounds like there's some help, some assistance being given to a lateral that is not owned by the city. It's a lateral owned by the water share company to your property.
Information that they shared with us was the Blue Stakes information, showing that Utopia was going to be working in that area. And so there was some contact information on that Blue Stakes for the contractor. So we were able to send an email to the contractor, but we haven't heard back from him.
All right, may take some time.
Yeah, so that's kind of where we're at right now, is just that people at Avalon provided me some photos and information that they had from when they were working on the Utopia stuff over there. And then with what we got from the city today, that gave us more contact information for who may have been involved in that.
You sent them an email.
Yeah.
All right, very good. So it sounds like, yes,
We're going to send our TV truck tomorrow to try to go TV from where Mitchell's was cleaning, from that side, and see what we can find.
That's what I was really hoping to hear. Adam
okay,
confirm that with my wife.
Great.
I wasn't quite getting that this morning. Thank you, Juan.
all right. Sounds wonderful. Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
All right, any other public comment at this time? All right, seeing none, we'll move on now to item number 4 on the agenda. This is our council reports. And it looks like we have someone ready to start here. Steve Stewart,
I am
kick it
ready.
off.
Just like to report that our youth council is starting their meetings this month, and we're getting into the regular pattern of their meeting every month and also doing service projects. They'll be meeting this month to do elections, so we'll have a youth mayor and other youth leadership elected in that meeting, and they're also going to be participating in a service project, which is the food drive on our Lindon Emergency Preparedness Night. So they did started that last year, and it went really well, and they're excited to do that again. Also, I'd like to, for clarification for the council, I know each of us have received invitations to ribbon cuttings tomorrow at Genesis, but there's actually 2. And there was some confusion as to why 2, but Genesis will be opening tomorrow, ribbon cutting at 11, with a lunch in between, and Hyundai itself, the main new, or not so new part of the complex, will also be doing a ribbon cutting because they never did one before. So if there's any confusion as to what's happening, 11 o'clock is Genesis, 1 o'clock is Hyundai, luncheon in between.
And Kia is next month.
In Kia, yes, Kia will be coming next month. So there was a lot of questions about that, so I just wanted to clarify.
Thank you.
I'd love to hear about the youth council. I don't know why, but it's just, our future is with that group, so appreciate your work with them, Steve.
Thank you.
And Mayor Lundberg for getting that going, that youth council program going. I've had chats with neighbors, that experienced flooding and challenges with the rains that came down, and I think I'm a compassionate person, but where I mountain bike up in the hills, right, it just came roaring out of those mountains, and we don't own the mountains, right, and that just came down and was a once in 100 or 50-year thing. And I feel like I have compassion as they share with me what they were doing, and I try and empathize with them. But then Juan comes along and he does such an incredible job. They finish talking to me and they're like, huh. And then they finish talking to Juan and they're like, oh, Juan is so great to work with. He really listens. So apparently I can learn from Juan to be a little more compassionate and understanding. But Juan, I've just heard multiple reports from multiple people about you going out of your way and initiating contact with them, and then working with others that have reached out to you. So appreciated. Thank you. Thank you very, very much. I won't be able to make our planning commission. Super disappointed. I'm going to be out of town for our little party at Scott Thompson's house. Was looking forward to that, but darn it.
What's the date on that?
24th, I believe.
Are you the alternate on that, Jake? Do you know who you're?
That was the
It's our
get-together.
combined.
This is
the
for
City
all of
Council Planning Commission.
Not the planning commission meeting, you're just talking
Right.
about the social.
The social.
Okay.
Sorry.
I
Yeah.
misunderstood meeting.
Yeah, the social. Tons of stuff going on with Parks and Rec, as always. Heath and I did a little field trip down to the Pleasant Grove pickleball courts and looked at the way they were doing things. He's had some communication from different communities, groups that he's on pickleball communications with, and talking about making sure that we're all following similar paddle up weighting principles, which actually I've seen in different parts of the country, in Hawaii, up in Seattle, and here, and we've got some great efforts going, new signage, a new paddle up process that's going to be going in, so I'm excited about that. Our summer barbecue is scheduled for next week, September 14th. This is also our September centennial event. Everyone's encouraged to bring their barbecue and picnic and come down to the city park, and then there'll be bluegrass and apple pie a la mode, served by the Parks and Rec. So appreciate them being willing to do that. We're also
Bluegrass music?
What did I say? Yes, bluegrass music. Did I say that right?
Music.
Bluegrass apple pie a la
Bluegrass
mode.
apple pie a
Yeah.
la mode. Just,
Yeah.
I didn't know about
Yeah, bluegrass music,
grass
period.
pie.
There will also be apple pie a la mode. Thank you.
My curiosity.
Thank you, Van. We're also starting a free online esports adventure game. As I understand, some other communities have been doing this, and we're going to jump on board with it. I don't think it's any extra cost to us. Is that right?
No.
So it's just promoting something that can be fun for, I relate with the pickleball people, and I know there's other people that get the online stuff, so, they're reaching out to.
Is
a lot
that
of different
Adam
people.
Sidwell's thing that I forwarded to you? Yeah. Okay, fantastic. He's a former Lindon resident that's wrote a whole online gaming and interactive, yeah, okay.
Yeah,
cool.
so that should be fun. Lastly, our Halloween Spooktacular is on October 25th. It's going to be held at our City Center Park instead of Center Street. So hopefully we can have an environment that's a little bit more conducive for people being able to participate in some of the other activities, and not just the trunk or treat, but there will be the trunk or treat as well. So that's all that I have.
Thank you.
A couple quick updates from the PD. Kelly organized a couple of sandbag events. We've got about 1,000 sandbags ready for citizens, which is great. Appreciate our efforts there, considering what happens when we have a hailstorm and half of the citizens flood. A lot of good cases being wrapped up, a couple DUIs, good things happening in the PD. Did participate with several of you in the Pleasant Grove Lindon Chamber of Commerce pickleball tournament. None of us brought home the trophy, unfortunately.
Next year.
But it was a good time had by all, and next year we're for sure gonna win a few more games. So it was fun. Luckily, they never put us so that we crossed path. We never had to have the Lindon City grudge match, but had we done that, I'm sure that the A team would have beat the B team. So, anyways, that's all I got.
Okay, thank you so much. All right, go ahead.
Thank you. Attended our Public Works and Engineering quarterly meeting on Wednesday, August 21st. This is a meeting where we discuss all of the public works projects occurring in the city and getting updates on those. As always, there's lots going on and lots of good things happening. I would just mention one, and that is the PRA 400 North turnout. I think I saw people working out there today. We've been missing an actuator that's supposed to come, so we hope to have by mid-September our test to see how that water for our secondary water supply may work going through our new pipe system. So that's the one that I've been pretty passionate about and encouraged and excited to see how that will work, and hopefully it does all it's designed to do. Anything you want to add to that one?
No, that actuator is gonna be installed after the season is over, but we're gonna run once the full meter is in place, we're gonna go and actually crank a good old valve, instead of being done from somebody's office saying 25% or 50%. So we'll do that in first part of, middle of this month.
Yeah, mid-September, I think you'd mentioned.
Could you also give them a quick update on our meetings with Central Utah and Jordan Valley about some of the share trades to get that pipe capacity?
Yes, so Adam, Noah, and myself attended a negotiation meeting with Jordan Valley, where they're the ones that are looking at trading the capacity that they have in the PRA. So it's gonna be kind of like a three-way exchange with, we're gonna do it all in one agreement between Central Utah, Jordan Valley, Provo River Water Users Association, and Lindon, where we will get about 8.5 CFS capacity in the PRA, so we can have the capacity needed perpetually. The trade that we're doing with Central Utah is water shares for capacity in the PRA. The trade that we're working with Jordan Valley is water shares, so we don't lose any water, and we get that additional 3.5 CFS capacity from Jordan Valley. So that's a really big win for us. The water that we are trading, it's Provo River, Provo Bench shares for Utah Lake shares. So even though it's lower quality water that we currently do not need, we will have the ability to, instead of just losing the shares, to have those shares in the Utah Lake and be able to lease that water for other people and actually generate a little bit of revenue from that water that we had as an excess, and then if we do need it, then we can use it for ourselves. But that is a really good positive thing that we might generate some extra income with those shares. So we should have that draft. We're in the final back and forth, and we should have a contract here in the next few weeks to move forward, and then we'll bring that up to you to do the presentation and approve the agreement.
Thanks. This has been in the works for years with this Provo River Aqueduct and this diversion point, so we're anxious to see it kind of come to actually working, so pretty exciting.
With 1600 North from UDOT coming in, there are some remaining users that still run a pipe down 1600 North. So in order for UDOT to be able to keep that pipe going through that user, we have to spend hundreds of thousands of dollars to get that pipe to keep delivering for one or two users. So UDOT and Central Utah are actually buying some of those onesies and twosies that are still here and there, and get those people also out of the North Union Canal, people that get their water, and hopefully get them out and then start not having to care for that infrastructure that runs underneath, streets and between people's backyards, in the case of, kind of similar to Doug Christensen. So Adam has a picture of the canal all the way to, is that all the way to Zone 3, Adam, or is that?
This is clear into PG, and so there's actually two water or irrigation companies that operate in the same canal. It's just at 800 North, it transitions from the
So
Provo
the blue
bench.
line that you see there is what is called the Provo Bench Irrigation Company. And then the red line is what is called as the North Union Canal. So technically, we get about 75 to 80% of the water. Let me rephrase that. 75 or 80% of the water in the canal is actually Lindon's water that goes all the way to the Zone 3 pond on over by the cemetery, 600 north. And when we start taking our water through the PRA, that is 75% less water that is going to be in that canal trying to push all the way to Pleasant Grove. So that's why we're kind of priming the users to say, hey, when we take this water out, you might lose the ability to get your water. The water shares are still very valuable. The value of the shares does not decrease. It just keeps going up and up. Because that's where the Jordan Valley, Central Utah want to acquire all those shares so they can take their water either to Salt Lake or send it to Eagle Mountain. So we want to get as many shares of that to keep in Utah County. And that's why I'm kind of also educating the people that are in Orem and Lindon and Pleasant Grove to try to keep the shares here in the. Any questions?
No, it's pretty fascinating when you can look at this map, to watch that water change from blue to red when it changes to.
Really miraculous thing.
Oxygenated or
Kind of a Moses
non-oxygenated?
thing happening.
And that's all I have.
All right, thank you, Van. Cole?
Lindon Cares, we had a great meeting, and they have their fall programming set up, and their classes have been oversubscribed in the sense that there's still increasing appetite for the programs, trying to find enough capacity for everyone to join. So really excited. They have a problem where they don't want to turn anyone away, and that's a good problem. So really good things. Lincoln, thank you for bringing up the centennial and celebration event on the 14th. Historical Commission still working on the museum update. Tree Board met and discussed their plans for planting a chunk of more trees that we have allocated to us, and the count's at 828 towards our 1,000.
Actually, we have an update, Heath. So I put out this, when I first became mayor, I said, we need to have a cool, thing for our centennial year. Could we plant 1,000 trees? And I'm so excited. Everyone got on board with that. Council, staff. Heath has an announcement. New update.
As of just this morning, we had 2 big tree people put in a lot, and we're at 1,001.
Oh, that's great.
And we haven't even had the temple do their trees yet.
Wonderful.
So we made it.
Very
Woohoo!
cool. Mine
That
was
is
the
awesome.
1, so 1,001. I planted one.
You're welcome.
Well, you didn't even need me.
I'll take my tree
Good
back.
job.
So really good things. And then also, just something to bring up in this space, I'm happy to punt it to a different time or item. But so I am now working with The Ruth and their organization as they're preparing our respective communities for their theater shift from Orem to Pleasant Grove. And so been interacting with a number of other cities in our area, and had the thought, and I'm volunteering for something here, to start an arts council here in Lindon. And it would be an organization that would help coordinate, promote, sort of be a hub for the many things that we're already doing and promote things that we might not have capacity to do, but together we could do. So I don't know what the process for that would be, but would love to spearhead something like that. I think it could be there's lots of possibilities, even aligning ourselves with like Pleasant Grove, as we've combined with our chambers of commerce. They have an arts council. There might be a couple of smart ways of doing that, but we just have so many amazing folks here that are doing things that could benefit probably from a more communal idea of who's doing what with what energies, and how we could focus those to really continue to elevate our community through the arts. So I'd love to do something like that, but don't know what the process would be like.
Okay, we can talk about it. We do foster several arts things each year with our mini grant program. Ann Stevens, a community member, has been organizing a concert series in the park. There's been, have any of you had a chance to go to any of the concerts in the park, the rock bands? She has one almost every Saturday now through the summer, so.
Yeah, so
good
just
things
be a
are
lot
happening.
of these one-off things, bringing it together
Yeah.
into one institutional home. so that it could benefit from that kind of cross-pollination
Yeah.
of ideas.
I know some other,
Other cities have an
they
arts
do.
council.
They have
They do.
arts council specific call out, yeah,
Mhm.
but, okay, thank you, Cole.
One thing,
Go ahead.
I want to recognize Cole. He was one of those persons in the groups that came to fill out sandbags. So Cole's crew brought about 20 people and helped us.
Was that your youth that you brought?
We had 2 different groups that we coalesced together, yeah.
That's awesome. Great
They were
job.
great though, but Juan and Kelly were there helping us know exactly what to do. After hours, by the way. I just want, I'm like, I don't want you all working longer, just if someone's there. And sure enough, he and Kelly showed up to be there.
It helps a lot to be able to have the community just fill that container full of sandbags. It's a good feeling to have that, those many bags. So, yeah.
That's great. Thank you.
Thanks, Juan.
All right. Really quickly, I'll just be, I'm just so proud of all of you. I have never seen a council that is so engaged as this group. It's really, really amazing. Everyone just loves what they're doing. They, just run with the ball and magnify everything. I was listening to the radio today on my way back from Salt Lake, and there was a researcher who had done a study on what makes communities great, what makes people feel like this amazing sense of belonging. And they said it was, 1, having plenty of social engagement. So Parks and Rec, having lots of activities and getting people out. Second was aesthetics. So having a community that you can be proud of, that looks nice. And I think all these things that happen, this Saturday is a huge day of service, September 7th. It's being coordinated by some of the religious groups, but they're coordinating with us in Pleasant Grove City, and there's going to be some amazing, amazing projects. I hope everyone in our community plugs into one of them. So we have this big day of service. We have our drill coming up with a huge food drive. Last year, we brought in thousands of pounds of food. It was overwhelming. So it's just really amazing. So, and the third thing is having a community that is welcoming and safe. And I thought, you know what? I'm so proud because I think Lindon has all of those in spades. So great things are happening. Thank you, everybody. All right, so also just one quick thing. Kelly held the drill block captain training a couple Saturdays ago. They did fantastic. We've always had usually a reporting or community count. Basically what happens is the drill goes out and people report to their block captains and we count who's accounted for or whatnot. We usually have a really high number, one of the highest in the nation, in the 80 percentile. One year we got to 89%. We haven't been there. And so we'd love to just break that 90%, that 90% that's been eluding us. So I hope, again, everyone will, find out who your block captain is, or hopefully they'll contact you. Sometimes there's a little bit of a breakdown there, and then council will all be in here that night as well for some training. And here we call this the Emergency Operations Center. Oftentimes there's a scenario that we're going through some particular exercise. Kelly changes it up each year as far as what we're trained on or what we're observing. So I also was able to go with Mike Florence over to the grand opening of a new business that opened here in the Wick properties there, business cost segregation, big company out there. They're doing great. And so anyway, lots of exciting things happening with our business community as well. All right, so we'll move on now to our administrator's report. Mr. Cowie.
Just wanted to recognize Whitney Hatfield is here as our deputy recorder and our court clerk. She is learning all the ins and outs of Brittany's job so that she can fill in if needed. So thanks for being here, Whitney. So, just a reminder, our next meeting is also on a Tuesday, September 17th, and then we're back to our regular Monday schedules. The pool is officially closed. They had their last day on Saturday, I believe. Is that right? And then, let's see, I think we've talked about these other things, the drill, 6:30 here, if you're interested in participating in the training. It's not a required thing, but 6:30 is when the training starts. So the drill officially starts at 6 and citywide, and then the training starts here in this room at 6:30. So, and then we mentioned the event there, that social at Scott's home. Just an FYI, the fall cleanup with dumpsters around town is scheduled for November 9th through the 18th. Brittany, I think I sent you an email today that said it was through the 19th, and Paul sent me a follow-up. He just wants to end it on the 18th. The dumpsters get picked up, so 18th is the correct date. And then the leaf pickup, we'll continue to do that. It runs through the month of November. That's all I have.
Mayor, just as a note on that September 17th date, I will be not here.
All right. Everyone else all right to attend that Tuesday? Very good. All right, we're moving on now to item number 6 on the agenda. This is the approval of our minutes from August 19th. Had a chance to review. Brittany, there's just one quick thing. The notes on Tabitha's Way on my report, Tabitha is Tabitha, the spelling on that. And they are opening a new facility, and we talked about them opening their facility in Pleasant Grove. Any other
Make a motion to
additions?
approve, if there aren't any more comments, to approve the minutes from Monday, August 19th, 2024.
Second.
All right, we have a motion by Councilmember Jacobs, seconded by Councilmember Broderick to approve the minutes. Any further discussion? All right, we'll call a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, they pass. All right. Then we're on now to our consent agenda. These are general housekeeping items for city business that do not require public comment or discussion. We're going to go ahead. Sometimes we do them all at once. Tonight we're going to do them individually. So first one, we have a resolution for some surplus equipment here.
You wanted a motion on each one, or
Well, we could, let's,
do you want to just jump
the
to the last
alternate, except for the alternate. And we could probably, let's just do each one. Let's just go over each one.
Okay, let me
separately,
review those
introduce each
quickly.
one.
So on the surplus equipment, there's those items included in your staff report, and then we had emailed out this additional salt spreader that we wanted to add to that list of surplus equipment. So do you have any questions on any of those items? If not, on the interlocal agreement, this is a renewal of that CTC, Communities That Care program, outlines our reimbursement for this coming fiscal year, and no significant changes there. It's similar to what's been done here in the last couple of years. On the resolution reappointing the mayor as the Utah Lake Governing Board representative from the city, she's currently serving in that position, and as the vice chair on the ULA. So, and then our planning commissioner appointment. Did you want to
Yes.
go through that?
All right, so I'd like to welcome Ryan Doan here, and he has graciously put himself forward and been willing to accept to serve as our next planning commissioner as an alternate, which may end up being actually fairly busy. So we have a commissioner who has, is handling a cancer diagnosis in her family, and we have others that travel somewhat frequently for their work. So we're excited to have Ryan on board. He lives in the Fieldstone Homes, Anderson Development kind of community out there. So some west side perspective is always super welcomed, as that's kind of a big growing area for us. So would love to have you introduce who's here with you tonight, Ryan.
This is my wife, Christy, and my son, Trevor. They wanted to come join, and I appreciate it.
Okay, fantastic. All right, anything else that you'd like to say, or?
I'm excited to serve. I love Lindon. You probably saw my little paper. I didn't know how to do a resume. I'm a software engineer. But I do love Lindon, and I really want it to be a great place. I grew up here. I grew up on Canal Drive, and my kids are growing up here. Trevor is my youngest of 4, and our youngest. And
We're so thrilled to have you, Council.
Yeah, welcome to the team. We're excited to have you.
I've known Ryan for a long time, know him to be a man of character, and really appreciate you reaching out and being part of it.
All right, Council. Well, those are our 4 items for the consent agenda. Ready for approval.
I'll move to approve the consent agenda items as presented.
Second.
All right, we have a motion by Councilmember Hoyt, seconded by Councilmember Broderick. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, it's unanimous. You can't back out now.
Official.
Thank you so very much. And then I'm assuming our Community Development Director, Michael Florence, has been in contact with you, Sue, for next steps.
He has, he's reached out to me and will.
Okay, fantastic. Now Lincoln is our council liaison. You'll see him sitting in the back.
Over here.
Over there,
Yeah.
okay.
It's my seat.
Yeah.
I still go to the same seat.
Juan's keeping it warm for him. All right, so anyway, we look forward to having you serve. Thank you so much. There's a lot of great people there. You're always welcome to ask staff lots of questions, or your fellow council members and commission members, and make sure you put on your calendar. We're going to have a joint kind of social, just the commissioners and council members coming up here this month, September 24th. Yeah. Okay. All right, sounds great. We'll all get acquainted. Thank you. All right, very good. So we'll move on now to item number 8. And this is a brief presentation of a new software that our city decided to go ahead and do a kind of like a beta test purchase this year. And hopefully we can find some really useful things with it. So I'll let Mr. Cowie go ahead and start that off.
Yeah, just really quick, this is called Placer AI, and essentially this company collects cell phone data from third-party apps that somebody downloads an app or something on their software on their device, and they agree to the terms, and part of that is selling their information, their location, some of their demographics, to these third parties. And so Placer AI collects this data anonymously and lumps it together. What we've been able to utilize this for thus far is looking at statistics on some of our city facilities, but another huge part of this could be made available to our businesses. And so Mike is hopeful that he and Britton can reach out to specific businesses and help share some of this data. Very interesting outcomes on this, and I'm just going to run through quickly some of these reports. So what I included in your staff report, this data on the aquatic center, and it's calculating, it essentially, they did have a few caveats. It excludes data on children, anything that's near or located on a map over a church or a school, temples, those are excluded. So we can't gather that data. But the aquatic center is one that we are very interested in. They will take that cell phone data as people come into basically a buffered area on a map, and then they extrapolate, hey, based on this many people coming in there, they're using some software to then populate the rest of their data. And so this is not an exact figure of how many came into that buffered area, but an estimate based on their software. However, it's fairly close. So on this sample that we provided, we looked at the last 12 months, and so it kind of caught a little bit of the prior year and then showed some data on the current summer and how many had been approximately through the gate in those prior years. And it's fairly close. So we're in the high 50s to low 60,000s a couple years ago.
So if it's not including children, I would imagine the pool is children anyone under 18?
So this is the software we're assuming is extrapolating, saying, hey, this mom came through with her information shows that she's from this zip code, and the average household population is X in that zip code, and therefore we think this many people came through And so it's doing something of that nature. And
We are all being tracked, everything we do.
very much so.
And
So-
every big business, government, and, I mean, this is information that's being used all the time. We're not doing anything that's unusual. It's just a tool then to,
So some things that are interesting here, it has some information about the number of visits, obviously, but then also the number of visitors. And so it might be people that are repetitive customers. They're coming back 2, 3, 5, 10 times. It will give some data on how frequent they are there, the visit frequency, so the average individual came 1.7 times to the pool. And so then they're giving their dwelling, how long they're there. They're looking at some other data, just very interesting as far as the trade area. So this software was primarily established for retail marketing purposes. And so a store could say, hey, what's my trade area and how far are people coming to actually frequent my business? But interestingly, though, the red areas are locations that were high frequency or high attendance at our pool. So our trade area for the aquatic center, obviously much broader than just Lindon itself. And so it does scramble some data. Lindon is all one zip code. It said any data that comes from a specific zip code, it will jumble it so that you can't say, oh, that house or that neighborhood has more visits than another. So again, take this with a grain of salt. This is not meaning that there's visits that came and originated from our industrial zone. This is, these heat maps are jumbled within that zip code. But then it also can provide some demographic info. Then it knows where these people reside at, where they've come from. We can look at all those demographics. Then it will actually indicate where some of their favorite places, where they frequent more often than others. University Place, the mall, the Meadows development in American Fork. So they're attending some of these other retail areas. And then it will actually give some information on where they came from before they arrived and where they went afterwards. And so we can, something that we've seen, Spanish Fork City had actually utilized this software, and they were able to look at some of their bigger events. Some of their Spanish Fork's big with baseball, and so they have some huge baseball tournaments there, and they were able to say, hey, based on these whatever tournaments in the baseball fields, we think we attracted this many hundreds or thousands of people, and we think we probably got X amount in a sales tax bump because we had whatever 5% of these people went to a retail store or a restaurant after their visit, and the majority of them don't live within our community. And so they were trying to extrapolate and say, hey, does our community investment in parks and recreation, does that bring monetary value in some fashion? And I think you could say yes, it does. And so just let's see, if I scroll down to this next report, it's on page 42, something you can do within the software is compare properties or businesses. So for kicks, you can utilize the map on a program, and let me flip to that and show you really fast. So it's very much like a Google map that you can zoom in, and we created specific areas, or it automatically uploads and populates specific businesses, so you can click on those and prepare a report for each of those businesses. Something we did with those pickleball courts, we looked at three court locations just to see, I just lost it. There it is right there. So we were able to highlight the area of this, and then you can essentially create a report on that. And so what I included in your staff report was the comparison of 3 pickleball court locations in Lindon. And that's about the smallest you can go. So the area, it has to have a minimum area, and then with these smaller areas on the map, it won't give daily specific information. There's not enough users, and so it will provide weekly or monthly on some of the reports. But just for kicks, then.
So a question.
Yeah.
So I was looking at the square, the size, square feet, right? Hollow Park, 17.9 thousand. Pheasant Brook, 6.3, Anderson, 9.8. And I thought, well, that doesn't make sense because a pickleball court is a pickleball court. But at Hollow Park, I
included
assume
the
you did the
tennis.
tennis court and the pickleball court, which would be more than what Anderson Park. So the
Yes.
question I had is that specifically for those courts, not necessarily for the whole park?
That
It's
so it is
that
specific
fine
to this
resolution.
highlighted area.
Yeah.
So it includes the tennis court and then the benches right there.
Can you, can you tease out the tennis players versus the pickleball players? Or is that too
Probably-
small?
It probably can, yeah, if it would allow us to go that small. And so I can try that and see,
Just curious.
yeah. So I guess technically this is skewed data then because of those darn tennis players. Is that what you're saying?
No, it's good. It's good though. We're just learning what it can and can't do. And this I found incredibly fascinating.
So let's see, visits, and again, this is on this report, I believe this didn't pull enough data for daily, and so this was weekly, but this is annually. So it would pull weekly data, was the smallest time frame you could get, but this is annual visits to those locations, number of visitors, and so the frequency, you're getting a lot of repeat visits. So let's see, 3.3 on Hollow Park, they're coming there that many times per year, if that makes sense. And
So would we use this to say, well, it looks like this is where people are going, therefore funds should maybe be distributed appropriately in this manner?
you could use it that way. I want you to just know about
Yeah.
this capability. We have this for a year, and so my hope is, if you have any questions like that, shoot me or Mike Florence, or Heath has it. Noah, our city engineer, has access. Send us an email and just say, hey, can you run a report on X, Y, and Z, or on Taco Bell or Walmart or any small business if they're in the system, and we can provide that to them. It's not data protected in any way, so we've asked, and they said, yeah, you can run a report and give it to these businesses.
Does it have to be a Lindon business?
No, we have everything in the entire US.
I was, this Costco, or I was thinking Kia, when we made a decision to provide some incentives, I think this type of information could have been really helpful to say, hey, we're gonna go out, what we're willing to give from an incentive standpoint. Anyways.
Yeah.
And you could have looked at Hyundai across the street and really got some good data because they're so similar, but you could have also gone to the location they were moving from in American Fork. I think that maybe data-driven decisions, we always aspire for that, and I think that could have been really helpful. Anyways, I'm excited about this. I've seen this a couple times, and I'm excited to be able to use it. Hopefully we can
when you say-
utilize it.
Sorry.
When you say it aggregates the whole zip code, the heat map did show a difference with the commercial area, that it didn't look like many people from the commercial zone were going up to, I think we were at the pool at that point. But it doesn't aggregate that, I thought you said, individually.
So it said on their information pages that it scrambles within the same zip code, that heat map in that trade area, so that you can't zoom into like one home or one neighborhood and say, oh, they're attending this park more than other neighborhoods. I don't think we would be able to determine that data.
But the heat map suggested that.
Right, but
Didn't
it
But
said
it's
that it actually
generalized.
scrambles that within, you know what? I apologize, let me back up. It's not within the zip code, it was within their voting precinct areas, I believe. And
Oh, okay.
So it may be smaller than that, but let me double check on that. And I'll get back with you. And so if we were to run this report, and it's very interactive, it takes a second here to populate. So this is the aquatic center with some new data, but you can change some of this as far as like on their heat map. We're gonna turn off this. Let's do true trade area. It gives you more of these bubbles. And this one would be, in my opinion, a little more accurate. So the majority of our visitors are Lindon and Pleasant Grove area. And so it seems a little more intuitive that way, instead of looking at it from this other graphic. anyway, lots of information that's available. If you have any interest or if you have any desires to see certain comparisons, let us know. So,
So we kind of validated that the numbers seem to work for the aquatic center, that their data matched our actual sales or counts.
close. It was within a few thousand of visitors anyway.
So I
But-
scrolled down and I thought I saw airport stuff, but I can't seem to find it right now, that showed that our,
I think this is the time now this year to really use this as a tool. We can, if we need to make decisions, do we want to attract a healthcare provider in our community? Do we want, what other types of businesses or industries would we want to attract for economic development, or maybe civic engagement, understanding that, or retail, or just understanding, like finance, like Jake said, okay, we're gonna, how do we make certain, so we can have more informed decisions. What entertainment that Parks and Rec does is having a good return on investment, right? Where are the people coming from? Then are they going somewhere in Lindon to spend money before or after? These are all
I think this would have been
insightful
helpful with our decision 2 weeks ago with the sports facility on 700 North. Pulling a few of those comps to see that could it really be what we think it's going to be? Is there comparable? But I'm excited about this. I worry because sometimes it's out of sight, out of mind. So my request of staff would be, if there are opportunities, hey, we're looking at something, don't hesitate to throw in these reports, because I think they're super valuable.
Did
And
you-
we'll try to do it as well.
It's a year? Is it like
It's a subscription.
so whenever you subscribed a year from there?
So we have this until the end of June.
Okay. And how far back? You pulled a year back?
Yeah, this has, I believe it's 3 years is the farthest you can go.
It
So,
would be curious to see what the pool attendance is with Pleasant Grove's pool open and Pleasant Grove's pool closed, to see how much more is driven, if any, this way.
yeah, we can see if we can tell that. Something that I thought may be of interest in some of your decision-making, and I'm not gonna be able to find it on the fly here, but there is an issue with the demographics that shows where people live. And so off the top of my head, visitors to the aquatic center that actually live within our zip code was only like 30-some%.
Interesting.
So when you're thinking of, hey, we want to invest another $250,000 into a new piece of equipment, we're only serving 30% of our community maybe with that investment. Is that really something you want to do? So that may be a way that you could look at some of these investments or budget expenditures and see, is this really serving our community, or are we just doing this for 70% of people that don't even live here? So.
See, do you think Hyundai would have that? Would it have that data for Hyundai? What percentage were outside of Lindon? I mean, I would be shocked if we're more than 10%.
It should, so.
But another key is, you can see 30%, only 30% of our population is coming to the pool, but you can see where they go afterwards. And are they then, bringing business to some of these other
Sure.
places
Report
that
that he
then,
did show that, yes, they had gone to restaurants and Walmart and they're buying gas.
because that kicks
Yeah.
money back to us through sales tax.
Yes. And the snack shack.
We're rolling in it.
Yeah, this is great, Dave.
Awesome.
Love it.
That's all I have. Thanks, Mayor.
All right, thank you so much. All right, item number 9, this is a bid award for a drilling project coming up. This is a key infrastructure item that's going to be quite momentous for the community. And we'll go ahead and learn more about that. This is something that Van and I have been going over in the Public Works coordination meetings for some time, so take it away.
Yeah, we just gave you a write-up here. There's several steps to this process. Where this well number 5 is what it's being called is going to be located would be the northwest corner of the future cemetery expansion. Let me jump to just a Google map just to make sure everybody's oriented here. So on on our current cemetery, we have intended then to expand that roadway area, and then this current farm field is the future phase. So this well would be located in this top left corner of the cemetery. In your staff report, we provided a copy of the cemetery phased plan that shows that future 50 by 50 well site. And the actual construction area is much larger, 150 or so feet squared in that area. With the process on this first two steps, our finished product after all of this money and expense is going to look something like that. That's so I want to set your expectations very low. This is essentially what you'll see when this is all done and we spent $2 million.
That up a little bit.
So
We can get with our arts community and have them do some.
something like that is what we're going to end up with. There's some significant steps to get to that pipe sticking out of the ground. We've talked in the past that the reason and basis behind this is a significant infrastructure component for our water system. This will provide redundancy for us if any of our other wells go down. This also provides additional water resources that can be provided and utilized in times of need and for accommodating new growth. And so we can use our impact fees that we've collected for culinary water can go towards a big part of this well construction because it's helping produce new water that will serve those new developments. This is deeper than our other wells. This is going to be drilled to 1,000 feet deep. I think our other ones are in the 500-foot range. And so this is technically tapping a deeper aquifer. It's not pulling from the same strata, I guess is what I would call it, of soil. So we're hopeful that this will produce. This is somewhat of a risk. This is a gamble. Well drilling is not an exact science, and we've hired engineers that have a good track record in selecting well sites, but we don't know until how successful it is until they test this and run it. So this first step in this is about an 8-week 24/7 operation. They will run these drill rigs around the clock and digging this well around if you go to this site plan map, we will be installing some sound walls and I think in our bid document it was 16 feet high.
Correct.
This black line would be sound walls. We will be closing 600 North. And then rerouting traffic just kind of up and around Friar Park. So all of the properties around it are still accessible, but the way these drill rigs set up, the back end, or the front end of their trucks essentially would stick out into the street for where we need this hole to be dug and for them to be oriented the right way. And so closing the street actually we think saved some money where they wouldn't have to do some other methods to try to make everything fit in their construction
Adam,
area.
when we were talking about this before, you were looking at two different sites, one over by Friar Park and this one here. Was the selection to do it here because of convenience or inconvenience to neighbors, or was it because the water seemed to be had a higher probability of having success in finding the water here?
I
You
think
wanna answer that?
the probability is about the same. We're about
Okay.
within the same vein. If you look at the hillside, how it all, the fingers come down, the alluvial fan.
Yes.
And it's just more for impact. If we were to do it at the park, we would have had more damage to the existing park that we would have to later rebuild. Where the cemetery right now is just a field, there's no rehabilitation to do.
Good.
The reason why we are putting it on the street is so the well can be closer to the street, closer to the pipe, and then we lose fewer burial plots at the cemetery.
Does that answer your question?
Yeah.
Okay.
What are the dimensions of that space that they'll be blocking off?
So the red square is the 150 by 150 staging area that is needed to put all the pipe, all the all the materials that they're gonna use. And the finished product will be the smaller blue square where we'll have it fenced. I already talked to Jim Dane to see what kind of ideas he has for a well house that will kind of blend in with the surrounding and the cemetery. So
Okay, so the pipe won't be visible, what you showed me, the finished product would be, it'll be
that will
housed.
be inside the house.
Okay.
Like our other well stations?
And then the house.
Locked and secure as well, so it can't be.
Yes, we have to have
With backup generators?
no backup generator for this one yet. That's a big generator. But we would have we have to have a chlorine building, so we'll have the chlorine building, then we have the well area with the valves and piping and.
Do we have a rough estimate on the cost of that well house, the piping enlargement?
We do not, because we first test, the well, the house itself is just brick and mortar. But the actual equipment, we do not go quote out until we know what kind of production we're gonna get. So if it's a 500 horse motor versus a 1,000 horse motor, there is a big difference in price and.
Do you have a ballpark of what you're thinking?
We're
range
looking at
wise?
about $1 million to
More
furnish.
after these two
Yes, to
phases.
furnish the pipe, even the transformer itself, it varies depending on what size horsepower we get on the motor.
I don't know if we're gonna talk about these two separately. Was there only one bidder on the development portion?
Yes. Widdowson contractors, there's more, but when Widdowson shows up, the competitors know that they don't stand a chance to compete with Widdowson where they're the best. And also on a separate note, there's a picture of the actual well house. So you have the actual motor, and then the pump sits at the very bottom of that pump, so that'll be about 700 feet in the ground, that column pipe, and then the pump sits at the bottom with a long shaft going the entire length.
Is this one of our other well houses, or is this?
Yeah, that is well number 3, looks like it.
Okay.
So it would be something similar to this, a masonry building, you've got a separate little room that holds your chlorine, so this is that little cutout in that room, something similar to that, where it's accessible from a separate door. And then, yeah, as Juan mentioned, the actual equipment inside, something similar to that. So all of this is something that the building, the pumps, all of this piping would come in probably another year or so. We don't have currently the funding to cover this section of this project, and so most likely we'll have to borrow bond for additional funding and to finish this well. But that's our thought right now is we'll get the well drilled, and then the second part of this, so that's an 8-week or so time frame, running 24/7, and then the actual development is what it's called of that well. It's flushing it, it's pumping, and they basically they'll exercise that.
Creating a wave action in the aquifer, doing this, so it kind of sucks some of the fines and then lets it go, and then sucks more fines, and then try to get that envelope where the water is collecting from wider out. Because when you're just drilling, you're just kind of collecting what's here, and then when you start creating the wave action, you're kind of flushing some of those fines to get the rock to come in, and quite the science.
Yeah, they're discharging a lot of water because they're exercising that new well, trying to clean it and get all of the sediments and sand, and then any drilling fluid that they've used, make sure that it's clean. And then they'll produce a report, and they'll basically say, hey, this well is capable of this many gallons per minute or hour, or whatever the time frame is.
Right, and then we suggest you equip it with the size of motor with the pump depth at a certain depth, and then do all the design around it. And after that, I've heard that some of the lead times just for some of the parts is 40 to 50 weeks in some cases of where, because all this has to be pretty much machined to specific. It's not that you just go to Walmart and get the right pump for it. You know, they have to
So
manufacture.
you can get the blue paint at Walmart, but you can't
The
get
blue paint we can order anywhere, but it's still there. The other thing. So It's a much-needed piece of infrastructure right now. We're relying on well number 4 that was drilled in the 1970s. And we, before all the growth we had, the pump well 1, 2, and 3, which produced about 1,100 gallons combined, was enough. But then now in the summertime, if we don't have well 4, we don't have enough water to provide for the summer use. And as we speak, we are also rehabbing well number 1, and that well was built in 1947. So we're trying to keep that going a few more years, but it's looking good so far. The structure of the well, even the casing from 1947 is still in good shape, but yeah, much needed.
Thank you again for always being ahead of the curve and getting redundancies in place. And this will be right next to my house. I understand it's extremely loud. My bedroom looks right down on it. So
Luckily, we're doing
see.
this in the
Yeah.
winter time when
Yeah.
hopefully people will have their windows closed.
yeah.
Appreciate
Trying to
this
get-
being on several reports for several years financially, coming down there on our financial retreat that we have, and big piece of infrastructure, big price tag, but
Big deal.
appreciate it.
Okay, thank you.
All right, so we have item number 9 is the bid award for the drilling itself, and item number 10 is the bid award for the other development of the wellhead services. So,
If
council,
you don't
any
mind,
other questions? If not, I'd entertain
I'm ready to make a motion
Okay.
unless somebody else has questions.
Let's do it.
Okay.
I move to approve the bid award for the drilling of well number 5 to Hydro Resources in the amount of $1,641,200.
We have a motion by Councilmember Broderick, seconded by Councilmember Hoyt. Any further discussion? Okay, call the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, moving on to item number 10. Again, same topic.
I move to approve the bid award for the development of well number 5 to Whittison Well Services in the amount of $445,350.
Motion by Councilmember Broderick. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Seconded again by Councilmember Hoyt. Any further discussion or questions on this motion? Okay, calling the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, council. Well, we got through a good amount of business in a good, concise amount of time, and,
Motion to adjourn.
okay.
Second.
Motioned, seconded by Councilmember Stewart. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, have a good evening, everyone.
Just as an FYI on that well project, we had been saving over a number of years, so about $1 million of that is money that we've saved up, so that's great. Yeah. Yeah.